Garrett Rank, whose day job is as an NHL referee, qualified for the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills. AP. 2. Garrett Rank has got stories. Like the time he aired out his hockey equipment under his car in the parking lot at Winged Foot before playing in the 2016 U.S. Amateur 4-ball, or the time he lost in the final of the U.S. Mid-Amateur in 2012, barely missing a spot in the Masters. Or the time he was hired full-time and promoted by the NHL Officials Association because they were afraid they'd lose him to playing golf for a living. Or the time he beat testicular cancer. But this seems to have topped them all, the everyday NHL official having now qualified for the U.S. Open this week at Shinnecock Hills. "I've got a real job, so I consider this like the pinnacle of my golf career this week," Rank said during Monday's practice round. "I'm going to go out there and, obviously, I have internal expectations on how I want to play and what I want to do. But at the end of the day, this is just a celebration for me and my family and friends." Rank is a 30-year-old who grew up in the town of Elmira, Ontario, with a 2006 population just under 12,000. Like many good Canadian children, he played a lot of hockey, but at the same, he never gave golf short shrift, eventually going on to play for the Canadian national team in international competitions. "Growing up in Canada, you're kind of born with a pair of skates on your feet," Rank said, "so hockey is probably our #1 sport. But golf is getting there." Golf earned Rank a scholarship to the University of Waterloo, where he also was eyeing a career as a pro hockey player despite having not been drafted. But that's when he found out he had cancer, and that changed his trajectory quite a bit. "I think cancer for me was kind of a blessing in disguise. It gave me a way better approach to hockey and golf and kind of changed my attitude that, hey, maybe that bad shot isn't really that bad, or, hey, maybe this missed call really isn't that bad at the end of the day," he said. "I wouldn't say I'm happy that I dealt with it, but kind of a blessing in disguise for me and probably paved the pathway to where I am today." After college, Rank started officiating in junior hockey, then moved on to the AHL, where he was assigned the Eastern Conference Final in 2016 between Toronto and Hershey. After Game 2, he drove from Hershey to Winged Foot for the 4-ball, where he and partner Patrick Kristovich shot a second consecutive 65 they would eventually lose in the semifinal. But his gear was still wet and needed to dry out before the next weekend's games in Toronto, so he put it under his car to dry. The next season, he was hired to work full-time in the NHL, but it didn't stop him from playing competitive golf. Just last week, he went to Ansley Golf Course in Georgia for U.S. Open sectional qualifying and earned his spot in the field by shooting 71-71 and being the co-medalist. The next day, he played in an event called the Dogwood Invitational and had quite a few text messages to respond to. "At night, I had 238, he said. "So I tried to get through them all the next morning, and whether it was a simple emoji or a thank you. So I got it to 0 going out on the course. By the time I got off the course, I had 77 more. Depending on how he does this week at Shinnecock, there might be many more texts coming. And come September, NHL fans might start looking a little closer to see if they can spot his name on the score sheet. I got a question the other day about whether I would want to finish in the top 10 in the U.S. Open or work Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and I answered with the top 10 at the U.S. Open," he said. "I said I'd save the Stanley Cup Finals for 15 years down the road when my golf game wasn't as strong.